Hey, beautiful. Welcome to the Not Another Mom podcast. It's time to take that mom hat off because this is after hours and I'm making you off the clock. This podcast is here to help you know your worth because damn girl, you're a goddess who deserves to live the life of your dreams. I'm your host, Lesley Sprague, and we talk everything from manifesting to motherhood. Yes, those little monkeys will still creep in here or there. Spirituality to girl talk with your besties, and from business to finding that balance in life. I'm here to remind you that you are worth it. Life gets to be easy for you, and your dreams really can come true. So grab your favorite glass of wine, craft beer, or if you're a whiskey and diet kind of girl, grab that and let's get this show on the road. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Not Just Another Mom podcast. I am your host, Lesley, and with me today is the amazing Kate Warren. She is a photographer extraordinaire. She has done all of my most recent photography, and she makes me look so good. And then she is also an expert in toddler and I was going to say parental development, but no, that's not right. Toddler and sleep sleep specialist for young children. So welcome first off.
Thank you. I wasn't sure if I could interject and just say I wasn't sure if this was a proper intro or something.
No. You can just we like to wing it around here. We like to have fun. So
yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Thank
you for having me. This is so exciting. Yes. I always love talking to you, Lesley.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited. We were just saying before we hit record that we really have no idea where this conversation's going to go. And that's what I just love. That's where the nuggets are going to come out. Mm-hmm. So I always love to start my podcast interviews with icebreaker questions. Because I think this just is the catalyst to where conversations are going to go.
Totally. Yeah.
So that being
blushing because I'm I don't know what you're going to ask me.
I've got a couple good ones. Okay. So this is my famous one is if you were in a Miss Universe competition, what would your talent be?
What? Oh my God, that is so funny. A talent that I already have or one that I wish to have?
Actually, I've had both answers. So I've had somebody tell me that they would sing, but they can't really sing.
Yes, that would be mine. Because I wish I could sing, but I can't carry a tune to save my life. But there's a secret, I don't think this is a skill, but I can wiggle my ears. Is that something that
oh, very
really
interesting.
Talent. It's just something that someone told me that I was doing, and I do it when I think really intensely. It's oh, mine's going, her ears are wiggling. So I don't know if that's
Oh, that's hilarious. My daughter always when she's doing something really focused, she sticks her tongue out.
Yes.
And so we always ask her, why do you have your tongue out? And her answer is the best because she always says, because it makes me smarter.
Oh my gosh. I love her. She's so smart and she's so she's sassy smart. You know what I mean? It's just she's smart. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She doesn't miss a beat, that one. I can't. I've kind of given up, trying to pull the wool over her eyes on certain things.
Yeah.
And it's anyway. Okay. So
yeah.
What are you binging right now? Is it a TV show, or are you deep into like a book? Because that's where I am right now. I'm deep into book world.
Is it your erotic books that you like to?
Yeah. Oh yes, my raunchy romance. Yes.
Okay, so when we moved to our house, we got cable, and I am like
Nice.
all deep in HGTV shows.
Oh yes.
I love them since I was like 13. I remember when I was in grade 7. Okay, so I was like 12. And for Christmas, I got a Trading Spaces DVD. Do you remember Trading Spaces? It's like where you and your neighbor would trade houses for the weekend.
And you decorate it.
The decorate a room. So I got the the best of DVD when I was 12. So I love these shows. And it's also because we moved into a house and I'm sitting in a very empty office, and that's why it's very echoey. But it's like I'm looking around and it's like I need ideas, right? Because I like so many things, but I can't decide. I just need to hire someone and just be like, this is kind of like my style. Here is my money. Please do what you can with it, right? So
yeah, exactly. Because like we're not trained in that eye, right? Like and that's like I'm always a firm believer, like in especially in business, like why not outsource things that are not my specialty?
Exactly.
It takes me like forever to get something done, where when you're trained in that, like you just get it done with the snap of your fingers because it's so easy.
Totally. I am in a space right now where I am 100% like on board with outsourcing. If it's going to cost me, like you said, more time than necessary, it's going to cause me frustration. It's going to cause me like some, micro meltdowns, you know what I mean? And it's just like, I'd rather spend my energy on something that I want to, like in growing my business or spending time with my family or doing something for myself, right? I am a big believer in that now, but it took me a while to kind of get on board. It's either your time or your money, and you just got to choose which one is worth it to you.
Yeah, because it's the same currency essentially. It's energy behind it, right? So
yeah, totally.
Okay, third and final question. This one I'm torn between 2, so we might do 4. Okay. And I just literally saw this question before we hopped on, and I was like, okay, I kind of like this.
Okay.
So it is choose one famous person from history that you would like on your team during a zombie apocalypse.
Oh, good Lord. What?
Totally random.
What? I don't know anyone from history. When you say something of history, the first person that came to me was JFK, but I don't know
how he would be helpful.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. I got nothing for you, Lesley.
That's okay.
You ask me anything about history, I'm just like, oh no.
Well, no, you could pick anybody. So let's rephrase it then. Sure. Anybody dead or alive.
Okay. Oh, The Rock.
That's famous. The Rock. Oh, we are so on the same page. Yep. Yeah. Why not have a little eye candy while we're fighting zombies?
Well, I don't know. Just let's keep them coming. I actually saw a coloring book at the grocery store last week of like Keanu Reeves, Jason Momoa, of adult coloring books. And I was like, oh, like this is good because I love Keanu.
I've seen like adult coloring books before that are like have swear words in them, or like I think I've had a mandala one before, or I still do somewhere.
Yeah. But those don't have an effect, I don't think.
Okay. And then the other question is a little more on brand. Okay. What is your favorite thing to do for connecting to your feminine energy?
Ooh, that's a good one. I like, honestly, there's a few things. because I'm very new to connecting to feminine energy. So like very new to that. It makes me a little uncomfortable, but I am trying to enjoy it a bit more. I really like putting on like really like feminine, like essential oils. I like doing that.
Oh, yes.
Like really like, you know, like rose or jasmine, like very like floral, very femme. I like lighting candles more often throughout the house and just kind of having like a very like chill atmosphere. You know, for an example, as I'm doing the more masculine tasks, the ones that, you know, like Britt has kind of taught us to do, because some things that we don't like to do sometimes suck. And so it's like, why don't you kind of make a good experience out of it? So like, it's not a very deep connection quite yet. I'm still learning how to get there. But right now it's like, I just like tapping into, you know, using essential oils that really help me feel, to kind of get more of like that feminine energy, and candles. That's it right now. That was a really good question, but that's all I got.
No, there's a lot of noisy distractions here right now. Truck just roared by the window.
I didn't
Oh, you didn't hear it. See? And that's like, Morgan, you can leave this in. This is fine. Like Morgan is my podcast editor, and where I am renting right now, we are like, we live at a transportation depot, and there is transport trucks literally going outside my window all hours of this day and night, actually. And I always worry that she can hear them when they're going by, but
yeah,
she says usually she can't.
I
so
did not hear anything. Yeah.
Okay. Well, perfect. Because it was like, I'm like, oh God, this one's really loud. But anyway. Okay. So tell us about, I know where we're going to go with this.
Oh, I saw it. You're like, I know where we're going.
Well, there's two avenues that like I want to kind of take us down. So one of the things is, last year for my birthday, I decided to have a birthday photo shoot. It wasn't with the amazing Kate at that time. I don't even know if I knew you quite.
No, I think we only started to know each other in February when we started the mastermind together.
Yeah.
I feel like I've known you for years though, Lesley. That's the thing.
I know. Like it's just we just connect, and
I love it.
I know. Sisters for life now.
Totally.
So. I know. I'm like a bad rash. You just can't get rid of me.
Oh my God.
Anyway, okay. Yeah. So that was one of the most amazing experiences I have ever done. And you like just don't hear of that. Like if you're in business, yeah, you might get occasional photo shoots or like, but what do you want to say like in that regard? Because I even looking at the last photos that we did together, I don't even think I look like the same person as who showed up. There's another way of connecting to like your higher level self through photos.
Yeah. So what's your question?
I don't know.
Okay. So, so you know what, like, okay. So, we have done 2 photo shoots together in the past 6 months. We did one when it was like really, really cold out in Hamilton. And those photos were amazing, but I noticed a transformation with you between those 4 months. Like it was like no time. Like it was like, I think we did at the end of April and then we did the other one at the end of August. So I think that was like 4 months, right? And I feel like, when you talk about your higher level self, I feel like that's a lot of work that you have been doing, Lesley, in the last couple months, right? Because even though I think you showed up amazing with the one that we did in the spring, but there was something different about your energy and just how you carried yourself in the one that we did in the summer. I don't know if it's because, part of it, because it was a controlled climate, because it was also indoors, so you weren't worried about being cold or, the wind or any of that kind of stuff. But I also feel like you kind of stepped into yourself a bit more in that time in between those two sessions. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I feel like, you said something about your birthday and kind of like celebrating. So maybe we can kind of talk about how, photo shoots are more than just taking photos. It's more about, investing in yourself, investing in your business if you choose to, take photos for your business. And it is more than just photos, because I feel like you get so much more out of it.
Yes.
Than just beautiful photos, right? You get a clearer sense on where you want to go in business. You feel better about yourself being vulnerable in front of a camera. Like you're just more okay with it, right? I think there's a certain level of work and practice that comes with that, because even me as a photographer, I clam up in front of a camera. Like I get very Chandler Bing, and that my smile's weird and it's just like not who I am. So that is something that I think I know as a photographer, because I always want to work on myself. I always want to step outside my comfort zone. This is why I'm like, yeah, let's do this podcast. Like it makes me a little nervous. I'm a little sweaty right now, but it's like you grow as a person, right? And so I feel like when you decide to book a photo shoot for yourself, you're also saying yes to investing in yourself. You know what I mean? And I feel like that is something that a lot of entrepreneurs may not do. I feel like that's something as women that we don't really give ourselves permission to, is to invest in ourselves, whether it's time or our money.
Yes.
And I feel like, there is something to be said, and it doesn't have to be with photography. It's just like you get like a physical product from it, right? So it's like a tenfold kind of situation. But I feel like, when you say yes to booking a photo shoot, it's like you're just giving yourself permission to do something for yourself.
Yeah. And what I would love to add to that too is like there is this confidence. Like you almost feel in some senses like I did, like a supermodel. And it just makes you like, it's when you buy that amazing pair of shoes or that amazing pair of pants or entire outfit, it gives you this confidence about yourself that like you might not have tapped into before.
Yeah.
And like it makes you feel just fucking good.
Yeah.
You can swear on this podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to know. And then that's the thing, right? Because it's just more than just photos. It's like you said, it's like buying like nice clothing that just like, again, goes with your higher level self, right? Because when you feel good in the clothes that you wear, it translates in the photos. When you feel good about the makeup that you're wearing or how you're doing your hair, it all is very transferable into what you get in the final product. Right.
Yeah.
So I always say that. So it's like clothing and just like how you feel, like wear clothes that make you feel good. Who the fuck cares what it looks like? If you feel good, then let's do it. It's like, I remember this photo shoot that we did back in the spring, you said, these high heels make me feel sexy, or these wedges. It was like wedges or their heels or something. You're like, and I could see as soon as you turned it on, like as soon as you put them on, I noticed like a noticeable difference. And
people have said that before, like these shoes. I've heard that people have said that before, and I never understood it until I bought those shoes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, these shoes.
Yeah. And it's so funny that we're talking about this now, because I was talking to my husband this morning, because my daughter, who is 3.5, loves ballet, loves ballerina dresses. As you can't see, but only Lesley can, but my one hand of my nails is hot pink because that's the nail polish that Nora decided that she wanted to get yesterday.
Yeah.
And demanded me wearing it. I'm like, I'm only doing one hand. I can't do the pink. I'm not a girly girl. Like I'm like very much like neutral colors and, you know, sports and stuff like that. But my daughter is very much loving wearing ballet dresses, like anything. And let me tell you, Lesley, every time she wears a tutu or a dress that has a little bit of like a flair to it, she walks differently. I'm telling you, there is a different energy. And I look at her, I'm like, I can tell that you feel good in this dress. She's like, yeah, mom, I'm a ballerina. And she'll like, and the ways that she just like, you know, she'll dance throughout the house. But I noticed today that she wasn't wearing them because we ran out. We have only 4 dresses and she's worn them.
Yep.
We have to wash them. And so she's wearing just like regular pants and a regular shirt and she wasn't moving the same. But as soon as I painted her nails this morning, she felt different about herself. So I was telling Josh, I was like things that you learn from your kids, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I know this, like I'm actually going shopping on Friday and I'm going to, you know, I'm doing a wardrobe upgrade, you know, and slowly I'm doing an audit of my closet. And it's because like, I'm looking in my closet. I'm like, I have 18 pairs of black yoga pants and I have that are navy blue. And then one that's like, I go outside my comfort zone and it's like a green, dark green camo, like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, and just, you know, just, we're going to switch gears a bit. It's just like how we wear clothes every day that just make us feel good about ourselves.
Yeah.
And how we grew up differently, you know, for our business or for anything. Right. And so
it's totally like, I'm still a firm believer that, you can, I've been in a sweats kind of vibe lately, and you can still tap into your higher level self in sweats. Don't get me wrong, but there is something to be said when you put on a nice pair of jeans or whatever, you put on your favorite freaking outfit. Last week, I wanted to tap into like the badass version of me and show up like as my high vibe self. And it was a freaking Wednesday. I wasn't going anywhere. I pulled out my leather pants and threw those on and totally transitioned like my whole day.
Yeah, I just feel like when we're intentional of the small things of what we're just like putting on, like for clothing, it kind of sets the tone on how we show up for everything else. I feel like I never like, I've always been like Lululemon, you know, through and through since like, you know, high school and stuff like that. But I feel like, you know, you can even wear Lulus, like you just be a little bit more intentional instead of just like throwing on some things. You're like, okay, I'm going to wear these, you know, nice leggings with like this cardigan and this tank. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like, you don't have to wear like, you know, a prom dress or something if you're
exactly.
You know what I mean? It's just like, just being more intentional with how you move throughout the day. I think can really help just like experience things differently. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And I totally like agree with that, because as I'm sitting here, like I feel good. I'm in a nice pair of Lulus, tank, and then it's kind of like more sweatshirty, so I am a little more casual, comfy, but I don't have my face done quite yet, and I can just tell that like I'm riding not at my highest level, I would say. And guaranteed, if I go put on a little bit of makeup, and that's the thing, makeup isn't for anybody else. I feel good.
Totally.
Right? Like, and that's why I wear it. But when you do that, you totally change who you show up as. And it's really hit home for me lately.
And just like kind of going and saying that, it's like, even when you just wear like a good pair of underwear and a nice bra, like no one's going to see, right? It's just like you're doing it for yourself, right? And I think it's like, especially after, you know, I know this is like, you know, just not another mom podcast, but I'm not sure if all your listeners are mothers, but it's just like, when you become a mom, you're just like automatically put yourself last on the list, right? And I don't think that is I don't think we should be doing that. Although this is what we're taught. This is kind of like,
No.
well, now you have kids, now they go first and you go last.
Yeah.
It's like, how the hell are we supposed to take care of anybody else if we're running on fumes? If
You
we're
can't.
running on empty,
Yeah.
our kids are not going to get the best version of ourselves, like of us. Like, how are we supposed to model for them? Because our kids are watching us, whether we know it or not, whether we want them to or not, they are constantly watching us. And it's like, how are we going to model the best behavior that we can? Because they're going to learn it all from us. They're going to learn how to take care of themselves from us. They're going to learn how to, interact with relationships from us. And, you know what I mean? Like all these things. And it's just like, well, we don't want that, because and there's nothing wrong with how I was raised, but it's like, I never saw my parents taking time for themselves.
And that's like one of the biggest things as to like what you were saying about running on empty. One of my favorite sayings is, how are you supposed to help somebody that's in the ditch when you're down in the ditch with them?
Exactly.
Wouldn't you rather be standing on the shoulder to pull them up out of the ditch?
Yeah.
Like you gotta fill your cup first.
Totally.
And then by when you do that, you're showing your kids, like you don't have to teach them and explain it to them. You're modeling it. You're talking your walk, walking your talk.
Yeah. I'm dyslexic. They both sounded good to me.
Yeah. Sometimes I swear I am, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. That makes sense. And that makes and I think that's so true, right? And it's like, but it's uncomfortable for us to do that because it's not something that we're used to. We go through, what we're used to is burnout. What we're used to is depletion. And
it doesn't need,
like, don't we want parenthood to be better than that? Like, I just think of that, right? It's just like, like with my first year of being a mom, it's like I was experiencing postpartum anxiety and I had no idea. I was just like, what the hell? I'm like, is this what motherhood is like? Because if this is, I don't want to do this again. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, then there's so many factors that play in it, but it's just like, I think having these conversations, Lesley, is important. It's a starting point, right? Because I had no idea what postpartum anxiety was. I thought there was just postpartum depression. That's all that I thought there was. But more women than not experiences anxiety after having a baby. And I'm like, motherhood, like, I thought it was going to feel better than this. I thought it was, and that's another time for like, those are like, I can go off on a tangent about that, but it's just like, we just have to, treat ourselves as if, as if our little ones are always watching us, right? Mm-hmm. Like we just have to treat ourselves with respect and, with intention and, it's okay to put ourselves first. It's not selfish. It's actually necessary.
Yeah. But, yeah. And that's like with me, like we're kind of knocking on the teenage years doors here shortly. Like we're crouching in, I think T-4, 3 years almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I can remember like with me and my mom, we butted heads a lot. And you know what if it gets to be different for me and my daughter?
Yes.
Like how does it, what if you're always going to have those ups and downs, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't have to be bullheaded way and that's what I'm noticing within myself is that like it's a bit more of I can see the pattern starting to repeat coming out of myself. And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know how to like do it differently.
Yeah.
But I know I want to. So like I see different things and try to make things more aware or myself more aware of that and try to not repeat the pattern.
Yes. And that's like the hard thing, right? Like trying to parent your children in a way that you were not parented takes a certain level of work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going against the grain of, how generations and generations of parenting in your family were, right?
Yeah.
And I see that even now. It's like, I feel like at every stage, our children are going to trigger us. And, these triggers can probably come from any kind of childhood trauma, like small T or big T trauma. Like, it's just like feelings of how you felt as a child that were unresolved. And, I don't think my parents are going to listen to this. So I'll just like quickly say is that like, in my family is that my feelings were too big. My feelings, I was too sensitive. I was also too sensitive, but then also really insensitive. And so it's because I was insensitive because I was told I was too sensitive. So I went to the other spectrum. And, I noticed, and as you know, Lesley, because you have two children, is like that, like kids have a lot to cry about in the first 5 years. Like there are a lot of meltdowns, a lot of tantrums. And, and what I'm learning is that I have to do some work on myself because her big emotions used to trigger me, because it would trigger me because when I was younger, I was told that my emotions were too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like, but now it's like, now that I've like realized that, and now that I have, done some work around that, it's like, I hold space for her emotions. I let her cry and I let her express however she's feeling in a very safe way. Like she doesn't hit, like, if she tries to hit, because that's just instinctively for young children to do, is to hit. And I'm just like, okay, well, we don't hit mommy. If you want, you can hit a pillow or you can throw your stuffies across the room. Like, I don't give a shit about that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't suppress her emotions, but it took me a while to get here because, even now in my mid 30s, when I am like showing some very big emotions, I'm like, oh, this is a bad thing. Oh, this is a bad thing. But it's not. It's just because our parents' generation don't know how to handle big emotions, because their parents' generation doesn't know how to deal with big emotions. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to break that cycle right now. And you can blame our parents because they're just doing the best the best they can with what they have, right? So,
and as on the top of that too, like our kids are going to parent differently from the way we did to them.
Totally.
Because it's part of the evolution. And like sometimes I've said before, I worry that I'm fucking my kids up, but I know that they chose me and we chose to be in this lifetime together. So we are learning from each other. Totally. And that's part of our journey. You can never quote unquote fuck them up because I'll always be there. And like when I realize that I'm being an asshat, I will say, I'm sorry, mommy gets frustrated too and she loses her temper. Or whatever.
And I think that's really important. I think it's important for our children to hear us say sorry. You know what I mean? Instead of having our egos kind of take over and be like, well, I'm the parent, I'm never wrong, right? I think that's important. And Lesley, the fact that you're worried about fucking up your children, it's like telling me that you are like, and I know you are an amazing parent. You are a really good intentional mom. And it's just like, when we think about these things, I think we're very aware of our behavior and, how our behavior can impact our children. But, it's okay for our kids to see us get angry. It's okay for our kids to see us, not be perfect. And then for us to recognize and tell them, like, listen, how I dealt with that is not how I wanted to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's important because, again, it's just modeling to our children that, even though we're their parents, we're not perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's one of the like biggest things for me, that it's amazing. I was recently reminded actually that Reagan was having these big outbursts in the mornings about her hair being just perfect. And like, it wasn't going that way. And I'm like, oh God, no, no, I don't. And I was recently reminded, somebody had said to me, you guys have been a ball of stress lately too. And she is picking up on that energy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah. So when we started to calm down a little bit, it hasn't, I haven't noticed it the last little bit,
Yeah.
but the thought is still there. Like, I definitely, if there is some self-image stuff starting to like
Yeah.
present itself, I want to nip that in the butt. Like I said to her, I go, are we going to need to do some mirror work? And like, you're going to tell yourself you're beautiful. And
Yeah.
like,
Don't you wish don't you wish our parents kind of did stuff like that with us? Like, Lesley, you brought Reagan to your photo shoot back in the springtime, and I saw her watching you in front of the camera, and you were just like owning it, and I'm just like, fuck, that is so cool. It's so cool for your daughter, who's at a very impressionable age when it comes to like, you know, being more aware of her body and all this kind of stuff, right? To see her mom be unapologetic about herself. And it's like, I'm like, that is a really fucking cool thing to see. And I just like, and that kind of stuck with me for a while, because like, you know, I want to do that with my daughter. I want her to see me. Like, she's only 3.5, but kids pick up on this stuff. Like, I never talk about how I feel about my body in front of my daughter.
And me neither.
And I won't do it. Yeah. And because they pick up on this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I learned at a very young age that, you know, I was big boned. I'm doing air quotes because I have no idea what the fuck that means, but like, that is what I was told. I was told I was big boned. I was told that I was never going to be dainty. I was never going to be slim like some of the other girls. And that really stuck with me. That really told the story of who I was as a person, because I was never going to be like very slim, you know?
So they say. So they say, right? Like,
I'm like, and who cares? It's just like, the fuck? And it's because of, you know, perhaps insecurities of, you know, these people saying these things to me that they felt about themselves. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, right? I have no idea. And it's just unfortunate, because I've had to unlearn these things about myself. Right.
And you're actually sparking like a good thought for me as well. Maybe like around her, I should start intentionally being like, oh, don't I look good? Or I love, like, just saying those sorts of things, or, you know, oh, I just love my belly. It's so squishy. Or some, you know,
totally. And I think that's kind of good to have, like, you know, when, like, for example, like I said earlier, it's like when Nora puts on these ballerina dresses, I just say, I'm like, I can tell you feel really good in what you're wearing. You know what I mean? Like, I try, it's hard not to, because she's so cute. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, you're so cute. You know what I mean? But like, I want her to hear more than just like her looking cute. You know what I mean? I don't think there's anything wrong with it, kind of saying that kind of stuff, but maybe we can integrate more things. And that's like, and I think that's really great, because I kind of wish I grew up in a house where, you know, positive body talk was around more often.
Yeah, same.
It's real, especially with social media with our young children. It is, I'm not there yet as a parent, but I can imagine how intense it can maybe be, or it can feel very overwhelming.
We're not quite there yet.
Yeah, but who knows what it's going to be in a couple of years, right? And it's just
exactly
scary shit, that's for sure. But I feel like it all starts in the home, honestly.
And you know, it was quite admiring, like watching her. We had family sessions with you as well, and just recently, and it was amazing to see the way she kind of stood in her power when she had her solo shots, and it was just so good to see.
And just know that that's a reflection of how you're parenting as well, right? How she feels in her body is a reflection of how you know what I mean? So it was really cool. It was like, I loved it so much. I was going to say something, but I didn't want to interrupt you. Now I don't know what.
It will come back.
It will come back.
It will come back.
It will come back. But I don't know. These are conversations that I love having with people.
And see, like I was wanted to talk about your two specialties,
Yeah.
because like I love the way we just morphed into
Yeah.
talking about parenting and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And it like, because I was originally like thinking of taking us down the avenue of like, as an entrepreneur, you don't have to be like a one size fits all.
Yeah.
You get to like actively express all areas, and they can be totally different avenues,
Yeah.
like photography and
Yeah.
parenting or young child development, right? Like,
It's really interesting because when I
you
started,
get to
sorry, I didn't mean to. There's a delay here, so I think
no.
You stop talking, but I realize you're continuing talking. I'm sorry.
No, I'm gonna stop now, and then you can go with
Okay.
yours.
I'm so sorry. I've been told it's
all good
where I interrupt people because I just feed off the energy of it all. But when I started Keep Them Wild, which is I don't even know what to call it, because it's like it's not quite parenting, not quite a parent coach, but it's kind of like all things parenting and child development. I don't really know how to kind of put into words where it can be a little bit more simplified. But when I started Keep Them Wild last year, I had a really hard time around it because I'm like, well, aren't I a photographer? Like, I slapped that label. Like, I'm a photographer. Who am I to kind of veer off into, because that is my specialty, right? Although I went to school for infant and child development, like, I have a psych degree and focused on infant and child development. But that was also 12 years ago, right? Because, photography kind of took off in a way that I didn't expect. And so my passion, learning about this kind of stuff and figuring out how I can use my passion to kind of help people was put on the back burner. And then when I became a mom and I didn't work for 4 months last year at the beginning of 2020, I was able to kind of just like sit with like, okay, what else do I want to do with my time, right? And so Keep Them Wild was kind of birthed. And it's been an interesting journey, right? It's like, I felt those things that you were just saying. It's just like, well, who am I to do both, right? But as an entrepreneur, like you said, we can do whatever the hell we want. You don't even have to be an entrepreneur. You can do whatever the hell you want. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we have to stop getting from other people and the approval, because, I did get a little bit of pushback, starting this other business, but, in the end of it, it's like, this is what I really want to do. I really want to help people and help parents, understand their children a little bit better. And if anything else, just have a community where people can lean on and, to get, ask their questions and get their answers, because there's a lot of things at least I noticed in the first year of motherhood, where I'm just like, no one's talking about these things. No one's talking about anxiety or, breastfeeding challenges or sleep. Holy hell. That's why it started with sleep, and it kind of snowballed into so many other aspects. But, it's because sleep was hard, and because people were telling me that my daughter was going to sleep through the night at 3 months, and then at 6 months, and then at 9 months. Like, guys, she is 3.5 years old, and there are nights where she is still waking up in the middle of the night, and that's totally normal. It's totally age appropriate. And I think it's just like, on my account, and what I want to do is this kind of like shake up conversations around what we're being told as new parents when it comes to parenthood, when it comes to toddler and preschoolhood, or how we should be as a mother or a parent. It's just like, I just want to shake up those conversations a little bit, because I feel like we all feel the same, but we don't talk about it.
Yeah. And like, as like my brother, both my brothers have kids, but the one that just had a baby in August was like, with his wife, I'm trying to like just encourage her to like tap into her mommy intuition.
Exactly.
and trust exactly what,
Mm-hmm.
you know, comes through. If you're being told this thing, then listen and just follow that, because nobody knows you or your baby better than you. So
Exactly. You know, and even though I do help families with sleep, I help them support sleep through a very holistic approach. There's no like separation techniques whatsoever. But, you know, the main thing is that like I can suggest things to you, but you're just like, no, because there's no book, no app, no doctor, no family member can tell you how your baby should be sleeping, how your baby should be in general. You know what I mean? So it's like, exactly what you said, tap into your mommy intuition, but it's hard because there's so much noise out there.
yeah, exactly.
Right? And there's so much contradictory information out there, you know, and it's like, just do what you, like, because everyone has different family goals, everyone has different sleep goals, you know what I mean? And it's just like, do we want to sleep through the night? Absolutely. Would
Yes.
that be wonderful? 100%. But it's just not biologically or age appropriate, because our babies are meant to be wakeful. And that's kind of like a hard realization, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's so hard. I'm not saying it's going to be easy peasy, but I feel like if we just understand what our children are going through, you just approach them a little bit differently. Maybe with a little bit.
I think like I would have really benefited a little bit more from understanding that in those early years, for sure.
Yeah.
Because and I'm not that far out of the game. Like Deacon is 6.
Right.
So I'm not that, it's not like my kids are 17 or something. Like I'm not that far out of the game, but even some of the stuff that my sister-in-laws have is like, I didn't have those things 6 years ago, and it has changed so much more in that short time.
Yeah, even when I had Nora in 2018, we didn't have any of the stuff that we have now. You know what I mean? And it's just, I feel like it's just starting to become more, there's more support. I still feel like our society does not support new parents in a way that they should. But I think we're slowly kind of getting there. But it's like like you said, like when Deacon was a baby, or even Nora was a baby, we didn't have these things, and so we feel like we're reacting to making decisions as opposed to responding. You know what I mean? Like energetically, they sound the same, but energetically they're very different, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know, just having more awareness, more knowledge, more community, you know, I think is like super important. But I don't know, there's just so much freaking noise out there, and it is hard because I find that I am parenting like kind of like against the grain a little bit sometimes, you know, and I've learned less and less over the years to kind of give a shit about what people think. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just like, I don't really care anymore, because if I'm starting to put my ego or ahead of my child's needs, then I need more work on myself, right?
And even that conversation in itself, like having to do more work around yourself, that's not essentially quote unquote normal either, right? Like the average person isn't talking about this kind of stuff.
I know. And that's what I love about your podcast, Les, is like you just like talk about things that are just like things that should be talked about, but people aren't talking about.
And that's why, like, I am a mom, but there is also so much more to me. So that's like why the title, I was hesitant to even put the word mom in there,
right?
But it's a part of me. So
and I like it is part of you, right? But there's different versions of you, right?
So they all get put into the same puzzle. It's all the pieces that are connected.
Yes, exactly. And it's so funny that we're talking about this, because I am going to be creating a program in Keep Them Wild, but it's not about children. It's about the mom, and it's going to be called Wild Woman. And it's because like what we're talking about is that we lose ourselves, I think, as new mothers sometimes.
Yes.
We need to reclaim who we are, because there's a sense of like mourning between who we used to be and who we're becoming, right? There is that,
Yep.
what's it called? Mastrestance. Oh gosh. Anyways, it's that transformation between like not being a mom and becoming a mother. And there's like, and no one talks about that, right? But it's also just kind of like reclaiming who we are and who we are now as a mother, but also as a woman. And that's something that I want to put together, because I think it's important, you know. And
hell yes.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's what I got.
That, see, like, we just knew that this conversation was going to be the bomb, and it was.
Yeah. So good.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. Where can people find you?
That's a good question. I hang out most on Instagram. For my photography account, it is at Warren__Kate. I don't have a website yet, that I am working on that. And then for Keep Them Wild, it is at keepthemwild_ or www.keepthemwild.ca.
Amazing. And we will link those in the show notes for you as well.
Thank you so much.
But that, as always, this was amazing. And I am sitting my niece today. We are having an auntie-niece day, and we managed to squeeze this in on one of her naps. So
yes.
You just do what you gotta do.
Totally. The nap life. Yeah.
All right. Amazing. Thank you so much. And until next time, we will catch you next week.
Thank you so much for having me, Lesley.
Thank you so much for listening. If you loved this episode, will you do me a favor and help spread the love? Go ahead and leave a 5-star review and share this episode on your Insta stories. If we aren't yet connected on Instagram, come follow me at Lesley & Co XO. And since everybody spells my name wrong, that's Lesley & Co XO. And leave me a line and say hi. Have an amazing day, beautiful, and we'll catch you next week.